Hi everyone, as you can see, I am not alone today. If you've been here for a while, you already know G. We've done a couple of videos together and we'll be doing very many videos together because G is my really cool friend. She's African American. Where are you from, G?
I am from Chicago.
You're from Chicago and you're living in Italy for how long?
7 years now.
From 7 years. 7 years?
It's been 7 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah, almost 8, yeah.
Oh, great. And I've been here for 11 years and on my channel, I make videos about everything life, navigating life with you. And on top of that, and maybe the main part of it is navigating life in Italy because that's where I'm living now. I'm an African woman from Uganda. And today, as you've already seen from the title of the video, we're going to be talking about raising kids in an interracial, multicultural home, family, because you are married to an Italian. And how long have you been married?
How long have you guys been together since I've been here? 7 years.
7 years. And so your kids are?
Our kids are, one is 6 and one is 4.
Okay, and mine, one is 11 and one just turned, oh my God, she's turning 9.
The same difference. 2 years
apart. So she's turning 9 at the end of this month, and my son is 11. So basically, that's what this video is going to be about.
Parenting
Stay
here.
tuned.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me, and we're going to be posting this video on both our channels. So, I think that
thank you for having me, because I think it's just amazing that you're taking time out to do this.
No, me too. And we have such great conversations all the time, just in general. And we were just like, we gotta put some of this shit on video.
Yeah. Also because these videos are not even like really planned.
Yeah.
Like we don't even have a script. We're having these conversations the same way we would have them.
Yes, if we met in the park.
If we met on the street.
We talk about this shit when we're at the park. All the time. We'll just be like, I'll tell her some stuff that happened and it turns into a conversation that we look at each other and we're like, we should be talking.
No, I love talking. I love talking to you because she's amazing and she respects my perspective. I respect her perspective, and we're kind of living the same life with our kids and raising our kids here. So it's nice to have someone who, you kind of do life with.
Yes.
A black woman, a fellow black woman in Italy, Milan.
Yes.
Trust me, it changes things, So
and
it does a lot for us.
We live similar lives and we have different perspectives on raising kids here, raising biracial children, and the whole Italian. You are far more assimilated in the culture than I am.
You think so?
Yes. Yeah.
I think because my kids are older, I've had more time to kind of absorb and engage more. Maybe. I also think sometimes I'm a little frustrated still. Frustrated from living in a different culture setup, frustrated from...
I think it's Italian culture because I've lived in other cultures where I didn't feel frustrated.
But you didn't have kids there though.
I didn't have kids. That is a big part of it.
Kids just change the whole dynamic.
It does. It changes how you see everything. It changes your experience because for me, living here in Italy, dealing with some of the microaggressions, dealing with all of the things, I may be hyper aware.
For another day. We'll talk about microaggressions and racism from an African American's perspective and from an African perspective.
Yeah.
And we have talked about a little bit of this on our channels. If you can just go and look up our videos. We'll also leave the links in the comment section. Yeah.
So I think sometimes those perspectives, I'm always like, are you an asshole? Or you know what I mean? So, and raising kids here and raising biracial children here, it's very interesting because I don't know about you, but nobody sees my children as biracial. When I'm out with my kids, no one looks at my kids and say they have a white father. Generally,
you know what's funny about that? I don't even know.
I know because people are constantly asking me where I'm from.
You or the kids?
Both of us. All of us. When it's me with my kids, they'll be like, "Dove siete?" Where are you all from? And I usually say, I'm from the United States, they're Italian.
Is it because they find you with the kids alone? If they find you with the kids and their dad, do they still have that assumption that you guys
when we're all together, they see us as a group. You know what I mean? They see us as a family. When he's alone with the children, they think that he's adopted some little...
Someone has asked my husband that as well. Someone has asked my husband, oh, this is so amazing of you that you get to have these kids. She implied that it's amazing of you to adopt.
To take care of them.
And my husband didn't get it immediately. He was like...
So this is the one thing that I would say that maybe because my Black American ass, Mateo's hyper aware of it.
My husband is not.
So
my husband is not aware of some of these things. Like, I see them and he's like, really? Because when that woman, I wasn't there, but when that woman told him that, he told me, I was confused for like a good minute what she's talking about. Then I, understood later that, oh, she meant it was great of me to adopt these kids. Yeah. And that's when he told her, these are actually my kids. Their mom is from Africa. She's a Black woman and all that.
So the first time it happened to him, I think Ali's probably far more diplomatic sometimes than mine, because Mateo got it right away. And they were like, what they asked him was, where did you get them?
He was on his own without
He was
you,
without
right?
me,
okay.
With the boys. And he asked, where did you get, he was asked, where did you get them? And he responded, do I have to explain to you?
Was like,
that's what that was his response.
Yeah.
And so like that was his immediate response. He wasn't confused like by what they were implying. Like,
maybe it depends how they said it, because Ale didn't get it. He told me you know why Ale didn't get it? Ale is my husband. I think he didn't get it because his first impression was like, you really think I'm here moving around with kids that are not mine?
Mm.
But I mean, people adopt kids, but
yeah, like
that shouldn't be your first
instinct. Yeah,
you shouldn't be telling me that.
No,
just leave it as a gray area until you.
So generally when I'm with my kids, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, my partner works. First of all of the kids are mine. Her kids are mine. Yeah. My kids are hers.
No, literally.
Literally. Because if I am at the park and she is not there, okay, and all of our kids, maybe her kids are with their grandparent or even their father, when they see me, I'm the only Black woman at the park.
They're all her kids.
They're all my kids. All of the brown children belong to me or to her. If they do not see, and so because her kids are older, sometimes she's not there.
Yeah.
And I will be there with my kids, and our kids know each other and everything, so they might all be playing together. And I remember one time when it's like this woman came into me and she was like, she assumed that Liam and Alexa were mine. And then I think one of my kids came over and was like, mommy. And this woman was like, how many kids do you have here? And I was like,
all the brown kids you see at the park, they're all mine. No, it's crazy, but it's funny because my son actually enjoys it now. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when her kids are at the park and someone, asks him, oh, but are you brothers? My son says yes. And your fratello. And I'm like, Liam, why is it?
No, and he's called Artist. He's like, my brother, come here. And Artist just goes because, he's like, oh.
No, Liam enjoys it because for him it's funny that they assume that, I think that's the other thing about raising biracial kids in Italy. Because stateside, then I'll talk about Africa, Uganda in particular, you see more biracial kids, maybe.
And so, then here, so it's interesting because
okay, we're talking about stateside US versus Africa, and we're both raising kids in Italy. I hope you guys just get that dynamic.
So the thing that's interesting to me about, I guess, in the United States, the whole biracial, and you can be light skinned and not be biracial, right? So I mean, in the US, like I have cousins who are far paler than our children with two black parents.
But maybe back in the...
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I know the lineage, but far fairer skinned than my children. And so, or our children, you know what I mean? And so the whole light skin biracial thing has like a very different thing in the United States. Most biracial children in the US are white moms, black fathers. Very few are black moms, white fathers.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
In Uganda, and I think also here in Italy, we have more black moms and white
fathers.
dads.
Yeah. Very rarely do you see white women in Europe, particularly Italy, with black men. Very few.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And so I think that it's definitely different. So because that's a whole other conversation, but I think that with the whole dynamic of the biracial children being raised abroad, most of them are being raised by African women, because there's not a lot of even black American women with children with white men in Europe, in Italy.
In Europe.
Yeah, in Italy and in Europe in general. It's usually African women.
Oh, I get what you mean.
You know,
it's usually the African women that are having kids. And why is that though? Oh, that's an interesting thing. Actually, I've never thought about it, but it's true.
Yeah.
If I think about all the mixed couples I've met, it's usually an African woman.
It's not a black American woman.
It's not a black American woman. Topic for another day. Yeah. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. Why? Let's talk about that. So I think that...
Very true.
Yeah, so I think that is even interesting, because I think from a black American mom raising biracial children, my kids are black, right? So my kids...
That's one of the things we don't totally agree on.
Yes, yeah. So my kids are black, and they're phenotypically black, as well as in my head, because I am their mother, I am a black woman, my children are black. Now, if they looked white, I would probably have a different perspective, because I think that biracial children who have the phenotype as white have a different experience, because my children even have a black experience.
In Europe?
Yeah.
Or are you talking as
in general,
an African American?
In general, in the world. They're going to be seen. Now in Africa, because I've had African people come up to me and see my children and be like, oh, that's a white man. Like a man from Senegal came to me. I was at the market with Juno. You know how he is. And
Juno.
That's her baby. I need to drop him off. God, he's a pain in the ass. But I mean, he's beautiful.
He's my son.
He's a lot. He's a lot of work. He's an Aquarius. If you know anything about Aquariuses, he embodies
he's something.
Completely.
But he's...
So he was giving me a hard time. And so this man from Senegal, generally people think that I am either from Somalia, Eritrea, or Senegal. Right.
If you were African, you would lean a lot on the Somalian side. I think also because you have brown, blue, whatever color your eyes are.
Yeah. So
she has this gray,
green, whatever.
Yeah, so I think you would lean more on the Nilotic.
Yeah. So a lot of times people from like Senegal or Somalia think that I'm around them, right? And so he goes like, why are you giving your African mama this problems? He's assuming I'm African. And I don't correct him because I kind of like it. Anyway, so I was just like, I don't mind it because I'm like, oh, I belong somewhere. Someone sees me as a part of them. Because
I can't wait to take you to Africa! Should we bring her to Africa? I can't wait to take you.
I can't wait to go.
I can't wait to give you the whole experience. Also because she's very open-minded and she likes to... You like to learn about all these things. She asks me all these questions. So, in Uganda, I'm choking on wine. I've been choking all day. And she asked all these things. I told her, you know what, G? I'd love to have you...
We have to make a plan.
Leave this thing. You know,
we have to make a plan.
Anyway.
So he says to me, the guy, he goes, why are you giving your African mama this hard time? And he goes, in my country, this is a white man. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I was like, because my children phenotypically, you know, Juno's hair is nappier than mine. You know what I mean? Like,
but Aries, the other son, is more fair skinned.
Yes, he's fairer and he looks more Italian. He has more like but he's brown still.
Yeah, but he leans more. You know, the mixed kids are usually different. But So anyway, the thing is, you as an African American mom, how has it been raising mixed children here? She mentioned something that we don't, it's not that we disagree on, but we see it differently.
Yeah.
She's mentioned that her children are seen as black here in Italy. I don't think that, but because I'm not sure what they think, because nobody's going to come up and tell me, I think your child is more black or more white. But I haven't felt like they have seen them more black or more Italian. I feel like they see them as they actually really are, as mixed children, because they'll always say, ma, in Italian, oh, he's a lot like mama and a lot like papa, but he looks a lot like papa, but he looks a lot like mama.
No.
On the other hand, in Uganda, my kids are white, period. In America, they are more black. So
they would be more black.
I think in Italy, I feel like in Italy I found the balance.
No,
then I don't know.
I don't feel like they have.
No?
My kids, I feel like generally my kids are seen as black. Nobody
You know
thinks
what
they have
I
a white
also
father.
think? I think it depends how where they find you. If they find them at the park with you,
yeah,
obviously.
But even with their father, they're seen as black. So there was this time that Mateo took them to the market, and he was they compared artists to
With the
lighter skinned kid with the softer hair to Gary Coleman.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but that doesn't make
It doesn't even make sense. So this was the thing that actually Mateo didn't get it at the time. And I didn't even understand it. Because they were like, oh, he's like Arnold. And my dumbass, there's a cartoon in the US called Arnold. And it's a white kid with a long head with like a donut. Like, I don't even know what it's called. This is what I was thinking of. Hey Arnold. I wasn't even thinking of Arnold from Different Strokes from like I don't even know, the 80s.
The 80s.
And so I was like, what's Arnold? So I was trying to understand what Arnold was, you know,
like how it connects to
him. Because I was like, in Italy, what's Arnold? Because I have no idea what Arnold is in Italy. And so so Mateo's telling me about Arnold, and I realized he's talking about Different Strokes. And I was like, wait a minute.
Oh my God, Different Strokes.
Yeah, and so I was like, wait a minute. So they thought that this kid looked like Gary Coleman?
No.
He doesn't, like, even,
no.
I mean, like, even, it's not even a skin color issue. It's a feature issue.
Yeah.
So this is what I feel like, generally speaking, in Italy, definitely here in Italy, they do not separate or have an idea that there is
an in-between.
There is an in-between. There is, unless you are phenotypically white or ambiguous, you're black or you're...
What do you mean ambiguous?
Ambiguous meaning that you could be something, you could be Latina, you could be East Indian, you could be Brazilian, you could be all of these things. Yeah, like something that where it's like you're light enough, your hair is soft enough, but you're not European. You're ambiguous in respect to your ethnicity. If you are ambiguous, even still, they're like, okay, you're ambiguous. That's a whole category of ambiguity.
That's a whole other category.
Like that.
They don't have a category for these mixed kids that are...
No, you're either...
That's very interesting because I think it's fairly true.
And so for me, I think like a lot of times my children, I feel like they have felt the microaggressions in certain respects.
Do you feel like your children have felt that?
Yeah, I don't think they know how to express it, but I think they felt it.
Why do you think that?
Because there have been times where, you know, I'm quiet at the park. You know, I observe. I might not look like I'm paying attention, but I pay attention. And there have, and people, because I speak to my children in English, people don't think I know any Italian.
Yeah.
So I hear things that they say that they don't know that I understand. So, and my children artist feels deeply. And so there are a lot of times where he'll come to me and he'll just be like sad. And I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And he's like, well, you know, I was playing with these kids. And then these other kids came over and they changed towards me. Like, they started.
He's told you that?
Yeah. They started playing with me differently, is what he said. He was like, they weren't playing with me. They were playing with me, and then these other kids came over.
They kind of like changed.
Yeah, they changed how they would, like how they were, they started ignoring him or wouldn't play with him anymore. And so that's a microaggression, right? Like that isn't verbalized.
I didn't know this. You've not told me.
No,
this
I've not
before.
told you, but like he's very sensitive. The other one, you know, he would just set them on fire.
But he's also smaller.
Yeah, he's smaller.
So maybe he doesn't get it. He doesn't know the difference between.
Yeah, and I also feel like the adults will take liberties with my children that they wouldn't take liberties with other kids. Example was took the kids to the oratorio. Oratorio is like it's like the church. They have like a playground outside.
Yeah, they have like after church activities that are not necessarily related to the church.
They're not related to the church.
Yeah,
like
just an open space.
Yeah, open space. There's Muslim kids. There's kids from all kinds of places there.
It's just like one of those backyards where we used to play in the background. I'm gonna get a refill.
I'm gonna get your wine. I'll get it. I'll get it.
I think we need to open another bottle.
Dude, oh shit.
Is that bottle empty? Yeah.
It looks empty.
Should we open another?
I will open
Okay.
one. I'm gonna be drunk before my dinner. I was telling you about artists feeling microaggressions.
So he feels the difference in color.
Yes. Well, he feels the difference in treatment. He doesn't know why yet.
Yeah, but the kids are treating him differently because you think it's because of that. I mean, what else?
It's partially, yes, because what else is there? Because, you know, they feel, and the thing is, Italians, this culture, Italians.
We keep it real here, guys.
Yeah.
And our opinions, disclaimer, are our opinions from our experiences.
Yes.
We live in Milan. It may be different for someone out there. And what is funny, we both live in Milan. We literally live, she's like 5 minutes away from me. And we've experienced things differently. Because to be honest, my kids haven't really, at least they haven't told me, they haven't felt different.
And I think it might also be because of my experiences in the US, where I affirm my children maybe differently than you affirm yours. Like I have books like, Artist loves this book where it's like my brown skin. You know what I mean? And
can you give me some of these books? I'd like to share them with my kids.
So like I have like I make a point of finding children's books that have brown people as the main characters.
Yeah.
You know, and that's also not only is it brown, but it's also in English. So it's like this thing where it's in English, it's brown people, and because I am brown and I am in English, this is a different connection than the situation with his father because everything is Italian and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is something that I'm going to be working on some children's coloring books.
Oh my God, tell us more about that.
I'm going to be working on some children's coloring books. So about like not just bilingualism, but also multiculturalism and interracial stuff, and just kind of like something, and maybe even some adult things, because adults need to work on their biases as well. Anyway, so what I do is I try to inform them not just about race, and I think a lot of times when we're raising biracial children, when we're raising our children, we don't talk to them about their experiences with race. I totally feel like I have had so many shitty people come up to me when I'm with my kids and say racist or microaggressive kind of shit that I'm just like, I have to, because I know they're going to be experiencing things when I'm not around. I was at the store one time with Juno, and the woman, she was so nice, she was so kind, blah blah blah, we're chatting, and but then she goes, I want one of those.
One of those what? Caramel kids.
Yes, little light skinned,
well, come on now,
curly haired children. She said this to me in front of my child. I want one of those. And so it's like, these are the things that when I hear it, you know
How
what I
does
mean?
it make you feel?
You know, it reaffirms the fact that I know that I have to teach them who they are and not let other people define themselves for
You don't want them to hear it from the outside.
Exactly. I don't need people to define them, because we know white folks, how they gonna define us. You know what I mean? So I need to let them know who they are prior to someone else trying to tell them who they are. So they can turn around and
what do you tell your children? Who do you tell them they are?
Well, right now, my children know they're brown children. You know what I mean? Like,
they are mix of
exactly
white
and black. They know that they are brown. You know what I mean? Like, they know they're brown. And like, artists is always like, I can't wait till summer, because then I'm going to be so brown.
So brown.
I'm going to be so brown. I'm going to be
almost,
I'm going to be brown like mommy. I'm going to be beautiful. Like, I teach them they are beautiful. Like, they are beautiful and brown, and like, they are enough. Just that, because even in my family, in all of their meaning well, you know, like when I talk to like my mother-in-law about race here, and she'll say
family. You mean your family?
My family, my Italian family.
Okay.
Because I'm here alone. Like, I don't have like any
extended family, like black family.
No, you're my black family.
I don't have black family either. Yeah.
You, Felicia, like these are like
the black people that your kids are around.
Exactly.
Yes.
And when I talk to my partner's mother about race, because I talk to her about like how I feel about Italian people. I'm like, y'all fucking racist. And she's like, that's a whole nother story, because they don't want to accept that they're racist.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, they just need to work hard and show. I was like, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Why
do they have to work harder than another child?
There you go.
To prove themselves.
And so I told her, I was like, Mama, questo è il problema così. This is the problem right here. Because no, they don't. They don't have to prove to anybody in this fucking world that they're worth being in the space that they're in. And I don't ever want you to say that to them. And I told her this.
You don't want them to grow up thinking that they have to prove themselves more than anyone else. They're just like any other kid.
Exactly. And so, but I have to also teach them that people are going to think this about them. They're going to think that.
But where do you find the balance? Teaching them that this is what people are going to think about them, but also this is what you should think of yourself.
Because they're also experiencing this world. So, like, all the time, what I say to, you know, my oldest is like, are you in control of you, or are they in control of you? And so it's not just saying you're black and you have to do this, you have to do that. You might understand where the foundation of that comes from, but what you have to do, in my opinion, what you have to do, knowing the experience that our children are going to have in this world, it starts with little things. It might not even be racial. You know what I mean? It might not even be racial. It might be, you know what, they chose to play with those kids and not you. Mm-hmm. And now you're sad.
That may not even have to be.
It might not have to exactly
racial.
Exactly, but it could be. You know what I mean?
No, it could be exactly.
But I don't say to them, "It's because you're black." I say to
you're just teaching them how to survive in a world where they're shitty
people. And I say to them, I say to him, like today when we went to the party earlier, I was like, he got upset about something. I was like, you're at a party. Are they in charge of you? Or are you in charge of you? Because right now something happened, you're upset, and you're upset because they did not behave the way you wanted to behave. And it could be because of a lot of different reasons, but ultimately you are in charge of you.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's those things where I don't put it on him in that way, because he's only, you know, he's a kid.
He's a kid.
He's a kid.
And you also don't want him to be very self-conscious everywhere he goes.
Of all of the things
that may or may not happen.
Exactly. But, you know, I have to be, I feel like I'm fighting the culture on a regular basis, because we're raising boys.
We're raising boys.
We're raising boys.
Which I know to some of you may not make sense, but in Italy, raising boys is actually a whole other dynamic.
Yes, yes. And the culture here, the patriarchy, the you know,
yeah. No, raising boys and like, seeing how Italian males behave,
yeah,
it gives you kind of a lot to think about and how you want to raise your kids. But anyway, G, I really like that we're sharing this, and it's very funny because, guys, we're actually really sharing this directly here on camera.
Yeah, she didn't even know.
I didn't even know
about this. Yeah,
about some of these things. We've talked a lot, but you know, life keeps lifing, and sometimes we don't get time to talk that much. What is very funny, what is very interesting is that I hope I'm not oblivious of it. I don't feel like my kids so far have felt that difference, like being treated differently.
So this is the thing. I said this on my TikTok once. This woman, white woman, raising biracial children here in Italy. And I talked about how they touch their hair. And so she said, my children have never experienced any microaggression. I was like, does anyone touch your hair, your kid's hair? That's a microaggression.
But you see, I don't see it as a microaggression.
It is. They don't do it to white kids.
Because their hair is not different.
Exactly. My hair is not different either.
It is though.
It's not different. It's
different.
Hair.
Your hair compared to a white person's hair
is different.
It's
different than your hair, but it's not different in the sense that you do not have the right to touch me.
But it's not something they see often.
It doesn't.
So if they see it's different.
I don't care. I do not. You do not have the right to walk up to a stranger and touch them. And
I've always been caught in the middle. I'm always on the fence on this topic of the hair thing, because I feel like if someone sees something different, when white people come to Africa and you go to the little villages, they touch them. They're like, oh my God, the skin is white, and they touch them. But they touch them because they've not seen it often. So that's how I kind of see it when people try to touch my son's hair.
White people go to Africa, and they do the same thing to black kids. They do the same thing.
But because they're not used to it.
It doesn't matter.
So for me, I think I have a problem, which my friend G here always tries to make me see. And I'm constantly learning from you, G. And maybe learning and then learning, and you're also learning and then learning.
Yeah, no, I learn from you too. Exactly.
I'm constantly trying to understand the line between the microaggressions and someone just being curious. When people try to touch my son's hair, Liam, when he has the afro out, which he doesn't want to cut lately, if they've not had an opportunity or they've not seen that afro before, I don't.
Why do you think you have the right to touch me? Just because it's new to you. If a man walked up to you and was like, I never saw a woman who looked like you and decided to touch you, is that okay?
It's not.
It's not. We do not need to teach our children. They need to acquiesce. I think this is why artists cut his hair.
Because he was fed up of yeah, you told me that he just didn't want people touching his hair.
Exactly.
All the time.
And I told him he had the right to tell people not to touch him.
But that's the thing. If your child doesn't feel comfortable with it, then stop.
Exactly. But how many times a day do our kids walk down the street? Strangers just walking down the street. They don't even have to have a conversation. Do you know how many times I'm walking down the street holding my kid's hand and someone would decide to touch their hair as he's walking by?
Do you think it's always racial? Like, do you always think it's
not,
a micro?
It's a micro.
It's always a micro.
It's always a micro.
Because to be honest, speaking as an African woman and as an African American woman, some things I know we're oblivious of them.
Yeah.
But some things are also, if you permit me to say this, are also hyper. As an African American woman, there are things you're going to oversee, not oversee, that's the wrong word, are going to
interpret differently.
So
when I first moved to Europe, okay.
And I could be wrong, I could be I have African American friends of Linda. That was
fucked up.
A microaggression. And I was like, really?
No, the same thing. No, when I first moved to Europe, when I was in France, it was the first time I moved to Europe. And I will say that the Africans that I met there, when I would talk to them, I would be like, it would be men or women. I'd be like, the fuck? And they'd be like, oh no, it's just a rude person.
And in France, it's even different
it's
because
very
there's
different.
more,
exactly.
there's
more
black people, there's more mixed people, so they're more used to it. Because Italians are not that used to seeing.
There's more black people in France. And so there was definitely people, they're African, right? And so when I would meet African people, very few African people actually know Black Americans, right? And so when I would talk to them, and I would be in the middle of talking to somebody, an African person, and some fuck shit would happen. And they would think nothing of it. They would just be like, he was a rude person. I was like, that was racist! You know what I mean? Like, that was
But that's the thing, G. That's what I'm saying. There's a fine. The line is so fine.
It's not.
I don't know, what do you guys think? Because I think sometimes there are people who are just rude people.
No, there are rude
people. So the
people.
difference between me and you, when someone does something that could be intentionally racial, my first thought may not be that they're being racist. And I could be wrong.
No,
my first thought may be, they're such a shitty person.
So,
but for you, your first thought will probably be,
no,
what
there's,
the fuck? So I don't know. And sometimes I feel stupid because I'm like, fuck, I didn't recognize. Sometimes when I get back home,
you think
like,
about it.
Wait a minute.
So this is the thing. It's not always my first thought, because I have friends who are not Black, right?
Yeah.
And there's sometimes they'll be like, was he being racist? Should I be? And am I? And I'm like, calm the fuck down.
Nothing happened.
You know, like, it was cool. I'm all right. You don't have to act like shit. Right? So here's the thing. I do feel like Africans, and I could be wrong, and I don't want to offend anybody, I feel like Africans in Europe, I feel like a lot of times
we guys, just so you know, we have the most the utmost respect for each other and our opinions, and we have different experiences and opinions, and we respect that. Just so you get that. You don't think that we're trying to disrespect each other.
Not at all.
Here we have open conversations on your channel and on my channel as well, because we're posting this on both our channels.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of Africans in Europe, particularly in Europe, because they're around white people and they know that they're a guest, that they need to let the white people do what the white people are going to do. They need to let them white. You know what I mean? And
I don't agree, but that's a topic for another day.
I feel like sometimes
it's not that G. See, you think so? Is that how it comes off?
It comes off.
It comes off like we take shit. Like we take so much shit. It's more shit than we should take.
It take a little bit more shit than you should take, because you know that the white people are in charge, and especially here, and you need to just let them white.
But no. Not really, also because it depends how you got to Europe. I didn't come here on a freaking boat. I didn't come here with no visa and trying to find my way to survive.
90% of them think that you did, though.
They think that, but I don't. So that's not going to determine how I behave.
Yeah.
But I know what I think you see. I don't totally agree, but
I mean,
let's talk about in a different topic, G. Let's talk about how you think life in Italy as an African American. Did we talk about that before? What did we talk about? Our previous videos. Have we talked about life in Italy as an African American and life in Italy as an African?
I don't think we have. Okay, so let's wrap up.
Because we also have different experiences.
Yeah, let's wrap up parenting, because
let's go back to parenting.
Let's go back to parenting.
Can I ask you something, G? Do you think that I experience parenting differently from you as an African American and as an African?
I think a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
I think so too.
I think a little bit. I think because you're far more assimilated in this culture than I am. You're more fluent in Italian.
But that could also be true, because the Italian culture and the African culture could come closer than the American.
I agree that too, because a lot of times when I tell people I'm American, they put up more defenses because they know I might curse them out. I don't know. Like, I assume they think that I'm a little more aggressive, because the way I talk to you, sometimes I talk to white Italians. I'll be like, oh, that was fucked up. You know what I mean? And that makes them uncomfortable. Because Italians politely lie. Lying in Italy is polite. I'm not polite. And so I think a lot of times Africans
I don't think you're being polite, though.
But
I think you're just more blunt.
Yes, but that is not something most people here are used to. I think, especially from an immigrant. Especially from an immigrant, I'm Black. A lot of people do not, like the wide range of what people think that I am. No one looks at me ever and says that's an American.
They don't expect it from you.
Yeah.
But so generally speaking, how has your parenting experience been in Italy as an African American?
Frustrating. Because
Why?
Not only am I African American, I am liberal. I am I'm open to I feel like I'm bisexual, you know what I mean? Like I'm not somebody who falls
but
into
that doesn't
it
affect
does
your parenting.
it
no?
does because I do not fall into the gender ideologies of having
like the traditional gender role.
Yes.
Okay,
so,
that changes things a little bit. Yeah,
it does because I had my son gave a little boy flowers, and this woman, the caregiver of, I don't know, it was the grandma or a tata, but she was like, "You don't give boys flowers." I was like, "Whoa,
why not?
Why not?"
Yeah,
he's his friend. He wants to give him flowers. Is fine. So there's certain things because, and also I'm not religious. I'm not Christian.
But Italians are not crazy at that it makes sense. They're not that religious.
Yes.
They're pretentious, but they're not that religious. They pretend to be religious, but they're not that religious.
But if you challenge them on religion, that's when they're religious.
No, they're not that religious.
Let me tell you.
Italians don't care about religion even if the Pope lives here.
They don't care until you tell them Jesus is not God. They don't care. They're not religious. But if you challenge their ideas
on that from the religious perspective,
then that's when their religion comes out.
But my question now is, do you think that if you had raised your kids in America, in Chicago, you would have raised them differently from how you're raising them now?
Yes.
How so?
Because first of all, my children are I need to pee. Go pee. I'll stop it. Go pee. Yo, stop it. So, I think we're talking about challenges.
So, just not to make this video so long, because we could go on and on.
Yeah.
Also with a glass of wine.
Oh my God. But okay, this is the one thing that we have to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever she does that, I'm like, what's coming? What has been the hardest part for you? Raising Black kids, interracial kids. I prefer to call them mixed kids.
They're Black. My kids are Black. Her kids are interracial. My kids are Black.
My kids are mixed.
They're mixed.
Your kids are mixed too.
They're mixed, but they're Black.
Your kids are mixed.
They are mixed, but they're Black.
Okay. What has been the hardest part for you? What has been the most challenging part for you? Also, guys, you need to understand that we're raising kids in Europe, but not just Europe, in Italy. Where the culture, the dynamics may be different.
Yes.
What has been the hardest part for you?
Trying to decide how much asshole I need to let them be. Like,
you guys don't know. You guys don't know.
Because
I know she's laughing while she's saying this, but it's some serious shit.
No, it's true because there is for Black folks. And I think also for African folks.
This week we were in the same wavelength.
There is a level of respect
and discipline
that as a proper person of color, you need to have. You're
not talking back at your parents.
There's no conversations.
We are not arguing over whether you should brush your teeth or not.
Or you're not saying fuck shit to me.
No.
You're not saying, Mommy, you're wrong. Or Mommy, no.
We're not doing that.
No. But here in Italy, they see other kids do that. So then they do it, right? And
my son tried it. Oh, but at my friend's ex place, they do this. I was like,
no,
at his place, in this house, as long as you're living here, these are the rules.
But this is also, and this is another conversation because I talk to women from other countries who live here, but their partner is from their country.
Okay.
Versus us who have Italian partners, right? So the problem in my house is that my partner wants it to be more in an Italian house. So a lot of times,
you can't do that when you're in an interracial, intercultural homestay.
I'm going to tell you something that I have seen from a lot of immigrant women, and this also comes into submissiveness. It comes into that
more on the African.
I'm not just
side.
talking
no,
about
but
African.
I mean more of the.
I'm not talking about African. I'm talking about being an immigrant.
Immigrant, generally speaking.
Yeah, like all of us are immigrants.
Yeah.
A lot of times, as an immigrant, that men expect you to be more submissive, just as an immigrant.
There is truth to that.
So a lot of times what I have found with women who are immigrants in like they came to this country primarily because they're in a relationship with the man. I am in Italy only because I'm in a relationship with
Me too.
This man.
So this is how and why we are here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They expect for you to acquiesce to their culture. And this has nothing,
because you're kind of living in my country.
Exactly.
So you do things
my
way or in my country.
In my way. Exactly. And so this has been the battle in my house because we don't agree on a lot of shit. And that's why I think
you can't agree on a lot of things because the cultures are different.
Yeah, but we don't even we don't agree on parenting styles.
Yeah.
We don't agree on...
We've had that as well.
Yeah, like we don't agree on so many things. So this could create...
Actually, in interracial couples, most of our problems come from parenting styles and how we both see things totally black and white. Like
but see,
night and day.
This is the thing that has been one of the frustrations in our house because even though my partner thinks he's liberal, but he is not.
He's stuck in his ways.
In that same way, Italians say that they're not religious, but they kind of are. You know what I mean? Like he thinks a lot of things that he is not. They don't challenge themselves.
To open up also to different ways of doing things.
Exactly. And most of the women that I have met who are immigrants here in Italy acquiesce to their partner's way of doing things. Food, like just generally, right? And so this has been one of the battles with us because I'm like, our kids can't be complete assholes, like not all Italians, 85%. So like they can't be complete assholes, right? Like there has to be some sort of boundaries. And that's one of the things that we don't necessarily mesh on, right? Yeah. And so like I do try to do gentle parenting. I try and...
I actually think you're really a gentle parent. I'm not.
See, I'm more gentle than you.
Yeah.
And so like, especially like our 4-year-old, he tries a lot of shit. And I know when I take them to the US, when not just my black folks, but my Boricuas, my Mexicanas, my like...
punk that child!
Exactly. Like
bring them back to reality.
Like my Asian friends are gonna be like, can we beat him for you? Because fuck that gentle parenting shit. We need to...
She's a gentle parent.
Yeah, I am a gentle parent.
I'm not. I'm learning to be more gentle. But my African ways won't let me.
I mean, I've raised a child before. If you follow my channel, I was a single mom. I was a gentle parent with him.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was. Like,
I think naturally you are a gentle
I'm a gentle
person. Your personality generally is gentle.
Yeah.
I mean, depends. But
she knows things.
Let's keep it. Okay.
Listen. So, because like even my oldest, sometimes when he's like watching his brothers, he's like, "Do you want to spank them?" And I'm like, "You've never had a spanking."
But Italians are not so against spanking.
No, they're not.
I spank my kids, and my husband spanks my kids, and
I don't spank.
And she doesn't.
I don't spank. So I don't spank. I like my 4-year-old has got a smack on his like hand. Just because he was like, oh, I'm going to hit you. And I'm like, well, I'm going to hit you back. Because if we going to fight, we going to go at it, brother. But, it was like one of those things where, but I'm not a spanker. Like my oldest, when he said to me, like, you should spank them. I was like, you've never been spanked.
I spank kids. I spank my kids. And I've realized that here, compared to other European countries, in the UK, in Switzerland, in Sweden, it could really be a problem if you spank your kids.
Oh no, they spank the kids at the park here. Like
Italians spank their kids. So in regards to that, I'm good.
No,
I'm good. I spank my kids. Spare the rod and spoil the child.
But Italians are still assholes.
Yeah, well, I don't know how that happened.
I'm just saying.
No, but really, like, for me, I don't know how other parents do it, and I want to learn. I'm teaching myself to be a gentle parent.
I mean, I don't spank. So, but I think it is a challenge for yourself because
you learn some self-control,
because I was spanked. It was not like I grew up.
Okay, sorry, this is off topic.
Yeah.
We need to close.
Yeah, we
this
do.
video. How is it that you grew up being spanked and you don't spank your kids? Because I grew up being spanked, but my mom was not really one who would really beat us. But yeah, a slap here and there, I did have that. Just a little spank here and there.
Yeah.
And I spanked my kids, and I hate to admit it, but it has helped. My kids know that on the count of 3, it's going down.
No, I did that count of 3 with my oldest, but I never had to spank him. By 2,
I admire parents like you.
like by 2, he was done.
Because parents like you show us that it's possible without the spanking.
No, it is possible. It's harder here. And I think that my partner makes it harder.
Does your partner agree with spanking or not?
He does not necessarily. I don't even know.
Because my partner doesn't have a problem. When I push it too much, he tells me,
that was a bit far.
That was a bit too far. But he's not against it.
Okay, so for me, I don't think Mateo's really against it if he had to. I have spanked Juno's hand. Like, I don't even.
Oh my God, you're such a good mom. I've spanked Juno's hand. My kids have seen. If you grew up in an African household,
no, I have.
You already know. Tell me.
I know. Like this, I got beat with all kinds of shit. I personally got beat.
Hands?
No. I got beat with all kinds of shit. So I got beat all over my body. I got beat running from
I don't think you should beat a child to a point of bruising them.
I got bruised. I think that's why I don't spank my children.
Because you don't want you want to change the narrative.
Yeah, I think that I want to teach them communication. I don't want to teach them fear. I think that because I grew up being scared, that I don't want them to grow up being scared.
There's a fine line between fear and respect.
Exactly. I don't think I ever respected my mother. I think I feared her.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of our relationship could have been differently if she'd done things differently. And not just from my childhood, but like throughout my life, that there was abuse. I think that
that is a part of unlearning. Oh my God. This is a whole other topic, because I think it's important for us to also talk about abuse that we don't call abuse in many of the families we grew up in.
Yeah. Because it's normal.
Where parents thought it was okay to talk you down but
it's abuse.
It's abuse. And we didn't have a word for it. No. People don't have a word for it. But there is a word for.
No, it is. And the thing is, because it was normal, because I was getting beat, my friend was getting beat.
Your neighbor's getting beat, so that's the normal.
It was normal.
It's kind of like the infidelity that has nothing to do with this topic.
Exactly.
In the African setting, the infidelity is so normal that your aunt went through it, your mom went through it, so what's your problem?
And that's similar to the same thing in the US. Like, a lot of women, up until they got to a point where it was like, I can do all this shit by myself. Why am I dealing with it? You know, and so I think here with like the parenting, for me, I feel like I'm fighting the culture all the time. But
I think it's normal. Because you're married out of your culture, it's normal.
I don't know if
in Africa we are told to marry to stay within our tribe, like the people of your area, because you're gonna go to a different area where they do things differently. You're gonna have to either adjust or fight it. Yeah. And I think I've done a little bit differently from you. Yeah, I've kind of blended in.
You blend in. I don't, and I think that a lot of times people. Like even, oh gosh, quick story. Sorry. So recently with my oldest here, he's 6 years old, first year in real school, I found out the teachers yell at them in class. And it came this thing, the teacher wrote us this communication. How they communicate bothers me. And so I'm just like, wrote this communication in his diary, and I'm like, okay. So when I talked to him about it, he's like, I'm scared to make mistakes because the teacher yells at the kids when they make mistakes.
That's not right.
That's not right. The thing is, so I sent a message in the group chat, you know, for all the parents, and I'm like, has anyone else's kids said that blah, blah, blah. And every parent's like, yeah, the teachers yell. And they're like, whatever. And so for me though, I'm like, they don't care. They changed this topic. They were like, because I responded like,
it was a by the way.
They were like, yeah, literally, it was just nothing. Like whatever. And I was like, for me, I see this as creating an environment of intimidation. You don't have to yell at my child for him to feel afraid that this is a consequence of making a mistake. He's learning. How do you learn without making mistakes? And so I got so upset. I'm like, I feel emotional because I made a TikTok about this because I was so emotional about it. Because I
may not totally get you because it's kind of how
I was raised up like this too. I grew up being yelled at.
Fear our teachers, we fear our...
So let me tell you, so I was...
You're getting emotional.
I am, because I felt so bad because this boy, and I can't have this conversation here. This boy is...
Because no one will get it.
No one will get it. Even his father doesn't get it.
Yeah.
This boy feels energy. He feels energy.
He's highly sensitive.
He's highly sensitive, and I took him trick or treating in the U.S. and you know how most kids are. They run to every house. I want the most candy. He would every house, fucking every. No, give me the thing. This boy was like, not this house. He had so much less candy than everyone else because he was like, there's something here I don't want to approach.
There's an energy here that's not aligning.
I can't have this conversation with anybody here about my child. Even his father doesn't understand.
I understand.
And so I'm like, fuck. And so I tell myself, I said, you know, he's neurodivergent. He's neurodivergent. He is the way he's
highly sensitive. He feels things on a different
level. And so I can't even have this conversation with the teachers. Right? So I say to them already, he is not someone, if you are aggressive with him, he is going to respond in the manner in which you think, blah, blah, blah. You know, the culture here, lying for politeness, being aggressive to make people conform, he is not going to adapt to this for you. And so this has been a challenge over and over again because people have a view and it's very stringent. I am somebody who's so open. You know what I mean? And so I've been having a hard time because I don't even have parents around me who are sensitive.
You don't have that support system that you need.
Exactly. I don't have parents around me who are deconstructing this ideologies that they've grown up with. And so everyone's like, yeah, the teachers yell. So what? And then they changed this topic to some of the boys pull girls' hair in class. And I was like, what? So that's also a problem. I'm not diminishing that. That's a problem. My kid is not one of those kids. But I think that to create an environment where children are scared, where children feel intimidated, how is it different than in the U.S., where children are scared to go to school because they'll
get shot?
Exactly. And most kids don't think about it. But you will think about being scared to make a mistake. Most kids don't go to school and say, I might get shot today. They don't think about that. It's not a register, but they might think like, I'm scared. The same cortisol levels, the same things that happen to fear is the same thing that would happen. It doesn't make difference of what it is. You're scared.
It doesn't matter what's causing the fear, but there is fear.
Exactly.
And no child
should be afraid.
Should live in fear. No child should be too scared to go to school.
Exactly.
No child should be too scared to express themselves.
To make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's even
They're
worse.
just children.
It's even worse because it's every day and you know it's going to happen. Nobody goes to school in the United States and says every day. And so exactly. Someone might shoot me.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about it on a daily basis. But if you go to school and you're scared to make a mistake because your teacher might yell at you and make you feel a certain, because some of the things they said in the chat when they were like, oh yeah, my child told me like they use like old words from back in the day. And you know, I'm not fluent in Italian. My mother-in-law wants to change that, by the way. I got to take classes this
You need
fall.
to change that.
I got to change. She's paying for classes this fall. Anyway, so I was shocked because I responded. I was like, you know, I'm really speechless that this is happening in the class. Almost all of the parents respond, I'm on the side of the teacher. Because Italian parents, yes, they spank their children. They yell at them. They say fuck shit to them. The first thing when I moved here, I did not know Italian. I was living in France. I did not know any Italian. The first thing I understood in giro, quando cammino in blah blah blah.
Giro is the cursing. The first thing she learned when she was moving around.
I actually understood. I heard a mother say to her son, "You're always an asshole." Sei sempre un stronzo. Because he jumped in a puddle of water and splashed her and his sister. She was like, "You're always an asshole."
Oh wow.
And then I was like, fuck, I was already pregnant with daughters. And I was like, is this how people talk to their kids here? That's when you start paying attention.
Yeah.
And so.
Because kids need words of affirmation.
And so, yes, of course he's going to be an asshole. You just told him, you're always an asshole. And I hear those kind of things around with how Italians speak to their children. And then I realize sometimes how my husband is. Because of what I've seen around. Because
it's what is normal. Wow, God, guys, that was a lot to unload.
Yeah.
And again, like we always say in all our videos, we never talk enough. If you need a part 2, we are more than happy to do that.
Yeah, and I was feeling
to end this on a positive note.
Let me tell you
some of the great things about parenting in Italy.
Yes, I don't think it's all bad. No, it's not. Because you know what? Someone said, sometimes people say to me when I talk to them about living in Italy and some of my frustrations, they'll be like, go back to the United States.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because Italians are always happy to tell us to go back where we came from, and I'm like, girl, I'll go tomorrow.
Anyway, so let's talk about
the good things. Let's end this video on a positive note.
Here's
some of the best things
about
raising kids,
children in Italy. First of all, for me because I raised, if you don't know, I was a single mom in the United States. So I've already raised a child in the US. I know what it's like to raise a child in the US. And raising children here, what I will say for me is freedom for my kids. Because
what do you mean by freedom?
By freedom, I would say they are not bound by the idea that as a Black child, you're going to die for making a mistake. You're
going to die from wearing a hoodie and walking into
from being sweaty. Exactly. From being like my oldest.
To be honest, I've not lived in the States. I've not lived in America, even if my family lives in Boston, as you already know. But I worry about my brothers.
Yeah.
Because they are the typical Black man. They're tall, they're big, they're robust, and they wear hoodies. They wear, you know. And every time I see these stories on TV, I don't know what the media shows us versus the reality. I always think about, what if I had to raise my son there? How would his experience be? Honestly, my son in Italy has never had to worry about wearing a hoodie. What?
Yeah. But the thing is, he doesn't wear you do. And so, like, for example, my oldest, when we were...
How old is he, just to give them perspective?
Right now, he's 28.
But the time he was here, when he spent a long period here, was
in Italy.
When he was 20.
He was still in his 20s, yeah.
He was in his 20s. So just to give you an idea, this is a handsome,
so when he first,
tall,
he's 6'4",
6'4" with a big afro.
Yeah.
totally handsome.
Yes, he's a beautiful boy.
He's beautiful
He's
boy.
the model.
And he, you know, he's an Afro-American man.
Yeah, exactly.
Young man.
Exactly.
And his experience was?
So, in the United States, growing up, raising him, I would say, actually, he prefers the U.S. But he
prefers the U.S., but how was the experience, the Italian experience? At least for you as a mom.
For me as a mom, when I think about this is the perfect example. When he was around 10 or 11 years old, he became very interested in archery. And so we went to like Home Depot, we went to a hardware store, and he didn't even tell me what he was doing. He was like, can you buy me this? Can you buy me this? So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Whatever you want, put in the basket. So we get home, he made himself a bow and arrow. A homemade bow and arrow. Like the whole fucking, he was, look, with my wine, he made a whole fucking bow and arrow.
Why though?
Because I was dating this guy who was half Scandinavian and he was a hunter. Okay. So he was the
inspiration came from somewhere.
Yeah, it was an inspiration. So, but he was a real hunter. He was the motherfucker. I love a man who does shit with like. So he was like, it's like he would be hunting. But he was the hunter who would take the skin off. I didn't even eat meat at the time, but I was like, it's kind of.
I'll go from vegetarian to carnivore. Like
I'll bite you, right? So. But he was teaching my son all of these things, all of these like survival things. Like my son has a shooting whatever because he taught him how to shoot. Anyway, he became very interested in archery. So he made himself a bow and arrow. And he was like, he made it. He was so proud. And he was like, I'm going to go to the park and practice. I was like, no, the fuck you're not. Because
you're not taking one arrow to the park.
And because it's a weapon.
It is.
And so if a police officer, if someone saw he was probably 10, but by the time he was 10, a black boy, he was big, a bow and arrow in the park, tall. What the fuck could happen to my child?
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that here.
Yeah.
Even if he made a mistake, you know, he's not going to kill
No one is going to judge him because he's a black boy.
No one's going to shoot him. They might judge him. No one's going to shoot him. No one's going to kill him because he's a black boy with an arrow in a park, bow and arrow in a park.
And
so
guys, that changes a lot of things, especially coming from the States. I don't have this issue, but I think about it because we're very open people. If I moved somewhere else, what would be the experience for my child there? Yeah. So
that is probably my trepidation. Yeah, like he's always gonna come home alive.
Wow.
Even if someone hurt his feelings, someone said some fuck shit, he's
gonna
still coming home. I can
alive.
Fix that. I can fix the rest. I can comfort him. I can give him the strength that he needs in other ways, but he's alive and I can give it to him because he's there. In the United States, I don't know. The fact that my son has lived to 28 is a fucking miracle.
Do you think about your son? Oh my God, this is getting emotional.
I know, it's a miracle.
Like, do you think about...
Do you still?
Like right now,
because he's in the United States. When he tells me...
We're talking about his older son.
Yeah, my oldest. Yeah,
living in the States.
Yeah, I raised him as a
single. Do you think about what he made or may not experience back in the States?
Oh no, every day. When he tells me, he'll call, because he talks to me a lot. You know what I mean? I'm like, he calls me every couple of days and he tells me almost everything. He tells me stuff about his friends. He tells me stuff. And sometimes he's telling me some fuck shit that happened. You know what I mean? And he's like, you know, I was out and like there was one time he went to his friend's, he borrowed my friend's car. And when he came out, there was a man breaking into the car of my friend that he had borrowed. And he and his friends beat this guy up because he's breaking into their car. They pull him out and they beat him up. The first thing I think was this a white man?
Yeah.
Who did you beat up?
Yeah. Was he a white man?
I don't know. I was just like, I'm talking to my son, so he was okay. You know what I mean?
First things first.
First things first. I'm still talking to him, so he was fine. And I was just like, was he a white man? And he was like, does it matter? I was like, yes! Because
it does matter.
It does matter. And I was just like, okay, you're fine. And the guy was high on whatever. He was breaking into like a car, and he was just like, you know, we called the police. The police came. I was like, you called the police? You know, I'm like stressed out of this whole story.
You don't have to worry about that.
I don't have to worry about that here. And that is probably the most important thing for me.
Yeah.
My children come home
safe.
To me.
They're safe.
They come home to me. They might have other things that I can work on that because they're still alive.
But
because they're still alive.
That is important.
Exactly.
I don't know, for me, raising kids here, the culture here is the aspects of it that are similar to back home in Uganda, the whole family aspect and doing things as a family. It's important for me because we didn't grow up with, you know, the whole perfect family scenario.
Yeah.
I grew up with a single mom, you know, we've had our things, we've grown up in different places, but we've always had the whole family unit intact. So for me, I think it's important that the family unit here is intact. And I think in Italy, they really try, sometimes in their own different ways.
Yeah.
They do try to keep the family together. Yeah. And my son, I don't have family here. Jeez, my blood. When my kids see her, they're like, "Oh, did you see G? She's over there."
Yeah. They make a point. They make a point. We see you, mama. We see you, second mama. We see you, auntie. Exactly.
You know, and so that's important for me that the family at least tries to maintain that family unit. And I think generally Italians love kids.
Yes,
they love kids,
even if they're doing dumb shit. They do love kids.
They do love kids in a strange way. In ways they do things, they love kids. So I feel like kids are always welcome in places.
I agree.
And so again, this is probably the 4th time we've said this. To wrap up this video, we are going to say that your experiences are going to be...
Let me tell you. Yeah. This is what shaped my experience when I first had Artis.
Yeah.
He was less than 1 year old. We were at the sea. And this Italian woman, I still was learning Italian, but I was understanding. You know what I mean? So these Italian women, I was putting sunscreen on Artis, and these Italian women come over, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's so cute, he's so cute." And they're like, "Oh my God." And so he was giving me a hard time though. And one Italian woman goes, "Stop giving your mommy a hard time. You don't want to be as dark as she is." Yeah. That is when I knew the fuck shit was going to be
You don't want to be as dark as she is.
No. And you think I'm light-skinned.
No, wait. Someone actually said that?
Someone said that out loud.
But did they know that you were listening, or did they just...
No, they said it to me. I was putting sunscreen on my child.
Yo. Okay. We're going to wrap this up.
Guys, subscribe to both of our channels.
Subscribe to our channels. G's channel is right there.
And Linda's channel is right there.
It's going to be somewhere on the screen. We don't know anymore.
We're making more videos.
We are making more videos. We are making more collabs. If you guys want to see more collabs, more videos, because you know what? Whether you guys want to see it or not, we are going to be talking and having this conversation. They're amazing.
Subscribe to both our channels. And here's the thing. We both make content that's different. I have other stuff that's going on.
Actually, you can find her on TikTok, on Instagram.
And also
Actually, I know this has nothing to do with this, but this girl, she is a creative. She makes bags.
Oh my God. Barbona bags.
We're going to give you 1 minute.
Okay, listen, I'm going to the States in a few weeks. I'm going to have an event in Chicago. I will be documenting it. But if you follow Barbona Bags, I hand make crochet bags that are kind of street style, very different, original designs. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think what she does is really great, and you guys should follow her. Find her on her Instagram. Find her on her TikTok
and also Linda.
Yeah.
Don't forget Linda TV, because she does shit and I'm like, she's so wholesome.
No, I keep talking about different things on my channel that I don't even know what my channel is about anymore. But you know what?
I think it's just like life as a woman evolving, because sometimes she talks about her experience with therapy, her experience raising children.
I'm just literally traveling.
She's
life.
fucking fancier than I am. She lives
That's
a fucking
not true, G.
You're fucking fancy. I've been watching her shit and she's fancy as fuck. I'm like,
I think we need to do more things together. You know what is funny? Me and G don't see each other. No, we see each other often, but we don't get to sit down and have these long conversations together. At the park, we'll do with our kids. But when we do, you know, like that old friend you haven't seen in a long time.
Oh my god. I love it.
It's not the wine.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not the wine.
I love you, baby.
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you.
So guys, stay tuned because we are going to be making more of these videos. We'll try and find time.
Yes, we will.
And also, if you want us to talk about anything, she's an African American living in Italy. I'm an African woman living in Italy.
Tell us in the comments what you want to know.
What you want to know.
Videos.
Yeah. So we've been mumbling a lot. I don't know if we talked about everything, so
definitely tell us if there's something you want to expand on. Let us know, and because this is just how we are,
and we don't mean to be even negative or anything. There's so many great things about living in Italy. God knows. I've always said this, G. I don't know about you. I always say that if I had to live anywhere in Europe, I would still choose Italy.
I'd choose France.
Topic for another day. See you in the next one. Thank you for joining us. Bye bye.